Hi, welcome back. My name is Mike Herberts, playfavourites.com, and I'm going to try and give you an insight to the blues playing of Robert Johnson in this video. Now that would be a whole series of videos that could last for a couple of years, but what I want to try and do is just break down really what the blues is and how Robert Johnson interpreted it and what he actually did with it that was so unique that we've tried to copy ever since. Blues, it revolves around just really the three basic chords, the three chords that became rock and roll, the three chords that became sort of standard ballads. Robert Johnson played in different keys. The key that he's most commonly associated with is in the key of A in standard tuning. Now if we were to take the key of A, we would start off with an A chord, and in a standard blues rock we'd do as a second position A chord, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. We lift the pinky off, and the next chord we would play would be a D, and the way we'd play that, that's the full D, which is an A shape, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. But we can't play all of the strings. We'd put the ring finger down on the fourth string. That would give us the second of our chords. So. And the next chord we play would be an E up here, then back to the D, and then the A. Now, let's have a look at the chords in a completely different way, which is what Robert Johnson did. If we take this D7 shape up here, for example, and if we move that up the fretboard until we find an A, so we have a D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, that becomes an A chord. Now we don't want to hold the full bar down here. What I'm going to do is just hold this fourth string here, because we have an open A string there and an open E string here. So just by playing this, we actually have a full chord, and this was Robert Johnson's signature really. And what he cleverly did was then move that down to a diminished chord by just moving his fingers down, keep the first finger where it is, and slide these fingers down, and we have a diminished. So sounds very nice. And we can also use this chord slightly. If we keep to these four bottom strings, bottom in terms of gravity, high notes, and use that one and change that to a diminished, we have the basis of some Robert Johnson stuff. And what he usually did was slid into it by picking the third string, and we can hear Robert Johnson in there somewhere, his soul anyway. If we then take another A chord, let's take this shape here. If we looked at this original A, we could, this original A, we can reduce that down to some of its simpler component parts. Now if we were to take just this bit of the chord here, which is these two strings and this one, we hold effectively what looks like a D shape, moved across, and then move forward to here, giving us that chord. And again, we have an open A string here, we have an open E here, and an open E here. So that gives us a full A chord still. And that's a neat one because we can slide that one down, and we can add the pinky in and make that diminished too. So we actually have 4 positions now, and all of those were used by Robert Johnson as an A chord. What else did he get up to? Well, the other A shape that we're familiar with is this one up here, which we normally play barred and stretch up here, that was called a long A when I was a youngster. And what he used was this famous rundown where he would play this chord effectively, use the 5th string as his bass note the first time, and then the 4th string 5th fret, 5th fret, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and then into the E chord, which would be normally not a full E, but an E7 with the pinky put down, allowing us to do that bluesy E and hammer on. So, so they're the basic components of what Robert Johnson did. Something else he did that I really like, really unique, was the D chord, in fact the D7. Now normally you'd expect to play D7, put your thumb over the top, giving you more or less a full D chord, a full D7 chord. Now the way he played it was to use this finger here, but bring his middle finger over and put his ring finger there, giving us this ability to do this. And he would play around with that. In fact, he did some neat tricks where he, instead of sliding up from below, he'd actually come to it from here, giving it a sort of a, I don't know, a sort of a devilish sound. And the other thing you can do is play with the rhythms of that. You can pick the 2 strings there, and then add in that one on its own, or you can do play all 3, or play and then open and onto this one, and even a double hit there. And then into the A chord, and then the A chord. Now the other thing that Johnson did that separates him from most of his contemporaries was he wouldn't play in regular 4/4 bars. He would hang on to a couple of beats in a bar, or even play a bar twice. Sometimes he would play a bar at double time, always maintaining that basic rhythm of that blues, the blues 4/4 beat. So if we start to put the components together, we can have the makings of a song. So let's have a look what we've got. We start with this chord here. We're going to pick the 3rd string, remember, and slide into this chord. And the way he would normally start this piece, and this one's based on Kind-Hearted Horn and Blues, by the way. So we would slide it, move down, and then do the run. So let's have a look at what that looks like. So get the shape first of all. Now these chords look slightly awkward, but I promise you an hour or 2 of practice and you'll find the most natural, very natural chords to play. Very easy to play. I sometimes have my thumb over the top. You will find that quite tricky, but if you put your thumb right behind the neck, in the centre there, you'll find it's very easy to hold down. Some of you may have noticed I'm actually using an electric guitar for this. And the reason for that was because I just thought that I would like to. I do play it mostly on acoustic. I just thought it would make a nice change to play it on the electric guitar. And I wonder what Robert Johnson would have made of modern electronics and electric guitars. He would have been doing some spectacular things, I'm certain. Okay, so let's have a quick look then at the song. So the intro, slide up, down, and then this run. So pinky there, open 5th to start with, then 4th string, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and then he would do this little, and then into the E. So that would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going into the verse, he uses this A shape. And the way we play is sort of a lazy, lolloping, like almost like a horse moving along quite slowly. Now that's not exactly how Johnson used to play it. He would have this driving beat with his thumb. And my version is probably more subtle, not as profound as his, but I just play it this way. So, and we should always play the blues in the way that we feel, not do a direct copy. So it goes like this. That shape, then move it down one fret, and then back up, and then down and add the pinky in to make it the diminished. And that's where we'd normally expect to slide back up, but Johnson would stay there for another couple of beats. So that would all go like this. Up to the D, the A. Extra couple of beats. Then we move into the D, this lovely D that we move into. And there are so many variations of that, but it really is very nice to play. And you put your own variations in there, and occasionally throw in the bring in from not below but above. And then to get back to this A shape, we do one hit really of the A here. I'll just go into that. So it's the chord, the fifth, which buys us the time to then move back up to the chord. Just hang on. And then we move into the standard E chord. Section off, we go back to our run, starting with the open fifth, back to the E. So let's just have a look at the whole of that section from the beginning, sliding up with the opening as well. 1, 2, 3, 4.